Danny Murphy is alongside Mr. Simon Jordan this morning. So many of you getting in touch. We love that. All the calls, all the texts and the tweets. 81089. If you want to fire in a message or two, you're more than welcome to do just that. Danny, will IFAB's new proposal see officials wrestle back control and authority over players? Sin bins. We're talking sin bins. It's been announced by IFAB that sin bins for cynical fouls as well as dissent are to be trialled in the professional game. What's your thought on that? I have noticed that this was coming up and that some of the great and the good in the world of football have tried to throw in their point of view before it gets to that stage. John Terry is saying sin bins in football. I'm so intrigued to hear everyone's thoughts on this. I personally don't like it because the level of tolerance and inconsistencies from referees will differ every week. And there's a good message from a good friend of ours on this very show, and he's Harry's former assistant, Kevin Bond. Sin bin. Football's in the entertainment business, Jim. The team that loses a player are quite likely to take a negative approach for the period that he's off. Well, unless they are losing, it's not good. In other words, they'll bank up.
Both right. They're both right. And I'll tell you what we'll do when we've got so many officials struggling with VAR and all the areas that are subjective. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll throw in a bit more for you. We'll throw in another couple of subject topics, which is cynical fouls and dissent. It's just interpretation.
Well, dissent's dissent. Shut your traps and get on with the game.
Yeah, but that's the end of the conversation. You could interpret my dissent differently to Jim.
No, if you're a referee and you make a decision and a player wants to debate with you.
Well, what if I said to you, "You're having a really good game"?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. No referee's going to put you in a sin bin for that, are they? Unless you're being a facetious sod.
I am, yeah.
Hey, ref.
I am.
You're having a great game, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, that's dissent.
Your interpretation.
You're using irony.
By any reasonable interpretation. Smart arsery is dissent.
The problem we've got with this, Jim, is that we are struggling with the refs. They are struggling at the moment of getting a feel for the game, understanding the game properly, because they've got so many rules. They've got VAR, they've got this, if you throw in more problems for them, you're going to get even bigger issues, because people will be getting put in the sin bin when they shouldn't have. You know that cynical foul argument when someone run back, you're chasing back, someone cuts across you, and you don't mean to touch them, but you do, or you don't. It's interpretation. It's just.
But the very fact they're talking about introducing sin bins, Danny, is because you lot, players, answer back, gobby, give it to the officials.
Well,
that's why we're at. There's no respect for authority.
Well, if
that's why we're at the little wearing of the badge with a respect badge. Forget that.
Well, just tell the players that only the captain can speak to the ref. If anyone else speaks, they get a yellow card. If they do it twice, they get a red. No, it'll stop overnight.
It will stop overnight.
If someone comes up to you, Jim, and starts questioning your decision, you go yellow, and they come back and go red. So if the refs were competent, we wouldn't have need.
Okay, so last night when PSG get the penalty moment, that penalty decision, all the PSG players round that referee, gobby, right in his face. Bang. Booked a lot of them.
Should have do it years ago. They started beginning.
I agree.
Bang.
I agree.
If the refs are competent with their yellow cards and red cards, and for dissent I'm talking about, if you start running the ref's face and arguing, just go bang. And if it comes again, red. I tell you, he won't do it next week. And why not do what the rugby does? No problem with that. Only the captain can speak to me. As soon as another player comes up, bam, Jim, yellow. Another one, bam, yellow. It'll stop in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, done.
Oh, yeah. So like this idea that players running around taking their shirts off when they score a goal was stopped, yeah?
That's different. That's euphoric.
Why is it different?
That's because that's euphoric. It's a moment sometimes you can't control.
You can control it. So when you get a yellow card and then you get a second yellow card, you get sent off, that stops it, does it?
You'd have to do it.
No, it doesn't, because they carry on doing it.
Danny, if it was that easy, they'd have done it long before now. And it's not that easy.
We've never had an official rule that says only the captain can talk to the ref.
Players will not fall into line with it,
and that's
Danny.
True.
Overnight.
But the reason is there's so many, I do believe actually there's so many outside influences that are artificially changing the direction of the game, because I don't think the referees want to send players off. I don't think they want to change.
Which I understand.
And that's because broadcasters don't want to see players being sent off.
That too.
And they don't want to see games being reduced in competitivity.
But you wouldn't have to send them off. If you make the rule in the middle of before a new season, the captain now is the only one that can talk to them.
And of course they all follow the rules, yeah? That's why
give it a go.
That's why for 20 years they've had to, in the end they've had to come up with a bloody spray can to say, right, you won't stand back 10 yards, so now we're going to put a spray can down. And now they do.
So if you don't have change, why not try and change something?
I do agree that there needs to be
change something.
But why then is the sin bin, which is almost like
because
an orange.
It takes away from the spectacle of the fans.
Was in sending people off us as well, right? So why then is a sin bin, which is almost like an orange card? Why are you adverse to that rather than flashing yellow cards willy-nilly, indiscriminately, which means players are going to get sent off because some Bert that's committed a foul earlier on in the game isn't going to think, I better zip it, bungo, because I've done something earlier on in the game. They're going to get themselves sent off. So because you're going to be in the same situation.
I think I'd rather see people getting. I'd rather see games affected negatively by people being punished for dissent than I would for maybe an accidental foul where you're sent to a sin bin and there's 10 against 11 for an innocent, innocuous.
Okay, well then would you be adverse to it just being for dissent?
That would work better.
Okay.
That would work better.
Danny, we've seen moments a sin bin would have been the right answer. I'm thinking of the Euros final up the road at Wembley, England against Italy, and Chiellini, who's famous for it. Remember the pulling the shirt of Bukayo Saka,
yellow card
in the final, and it resulted only in a yellow
because it was only a yellow. That's football. It has been since the day.
But would that not have been worthy of a sin bin?
No.
Because he denied England a
we
goal-scoring chance.
Well, it depends. When would the rule start? You can't just have it for one time. That would have to be if everyone was being
But see, what Jimmy's alluding to is there's not much of a consequence for a yellow card.
That's it.
That's what he's alluding to.
Yeah, but it's the way football's always been.
But but football's evolving, so you can't say.
But it's brilliant.
Well,
we love it.
But it used to be 2 points for a win. It's not. Everything changes.
Yeah, but I don't think
goalkeepers used to be able to do what they wanted to do.
I go back to my original point. You're talking about that many different criteria in the ref's head. Or problems decisions he's going to have to make. You're just adding more problems because this ain't something that's black and white. These are just subjective.
But how about bite-sized chunks in? If you are not adverse to the idea that sin bins could be a useful tool to eradicate ailments of the game, like dissent, and that becomes something that the referees embrace, they phase it into their thinking. It doesn't compromise them by having one more thing to think about, and it proves to be successful. And they work it well, right? Then they can build from that to say, right, well, the next part of the equation, not to ruin the jeopardy of the game by taking people off and giving them yellow cards and red cards, we're going to sin bin cynical fouls. Once they've embraced and mastered the ability to be able to contend with more than one thing at a time, which is what you're saying, put referee to mouth, put foot in front of a foot. Right?
I think we are in the worst. I can't remember a worse time for bad decisions than this season in my whole life of football. And I think if you want to add more problems to it, you're asking for trouble.
Do you think player behaviour has improved this season
compared to
any season? Do you think the players are behaving better in the field of play than they've ever done before?
It's a very easy answer. You're very quick to tell us how referees are.
It's a straight answer, Danny. It's got one hell of a lot worse. Still as gobby as ever. Still cheating. Simulation here, simulation there.
Yeah, I think
that's why all these rules are being brought in.
Yeah, there's probably, but then change it to a point where you cut that out. So you do the captain thing is a really good idea. I think the captain thing works really well in rugby.
I do too.
But would footballers embrace it? Rugby does, because there's respect that exists in that
They would
sport.
embrace it if the punishment for not embracing it was quick, firm and affirmative, and they go bang, red, yellow, red, bump, done.
All right.
Because I tell you one thing,
I think
Jim,
he's right, really.
If I started a season, I love playing, and most footballers, I believe, do. Might be a few exceptions, but generally players, the way to punish footballers, make them behave, is to stop them playing.
Take their money away.
Well, secondary.
That sends them really crying over the edge.
And you make a rule at the beginning
my
of
friend is the answer, the sin bin. Take them out for 10 minutes.
I just think it spoils the game so much. And it gives
there's a message here. It would be one hell of an embarrassment for any player to have to sit in a sin bin for diving. He wouldn't do it again.
But that goes back to the original point we've made on here many, many times. Why in the hell isn't there not retrospective punishment for diving anyway if the referee misses it on the day? Like they set up the panel, they set up various people like myself to do it, and then it stopped.
We should get a sin bin set up in here. He'd never be out it. Coming up to 12 noon.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.